Now that we've taken a look at what divs are and what IDs and classes are, we can kind of take a look at what the actual layout of a website may actually look like using HTML. And traditionally, what was used before HTML5 is going to be very different than what we use now. So let's start on the left side here and talk about HTML4. We used to use divs, and we would use these to create different layouts or column layouts or row layouts, and we use them because they can easily be positioned with CSS. So what I would have done a few years ago is to create a website with a header, navigation, then some main content like that with a sidebar and then a footer. I would have created a unique div ID for each one of these. So div ID header and div ID nav. Well, what HTML5 has done is they've provided us with some new elements, and these actually define different parts of a web page, and they allow us to be a lot more organized. So what we can do is, instead of using a div ID for header, we now have an element or a header tag. That's the same with a nav tag, which is going to specify a container for navigation links. We have a section, which is just going to define a section for our document. And then article tag, a side tag, this is going to be a section for a sidebar. We see those a lot nowadays. And then obviously a footer tag. Purpose of showing you guys these examples is I want to give you a visual representation of how we can use the things that we've learned in HTML to create actual structure to our pages. So obviously we think of divs and we know that, well, they stack one on top of the other. How is the div ID sidebar to the left of the div ID section? And once again, we'll use CSS to establish different style aspects. But I did want you guys to see this and also take note that the old way is not the way we're going to be using. Everything we do in this course moving forward, especially after we learn a bit more about HTML5, and there will be a section on that, we're going to make sure that everything we code in is up to HTML5 standards. So when anyone asks you, yes, you were writing a website or whatever you're doing according to the standards by HTML5 and the World Wide Web Consortium.